Bienvenidos todos a Tectonic Takes. Welcome everybody to Tectonic Takes. I'm here with Will. What's up? Long time.
What's going on?
Yeah, man. Welcome back.
Dude, a great intro, man. I didn't think you were gonna throw out that Spanish there. It threw me off. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no. I'm just trying to that little Carlos Eustace impersonation, you know, the little Chivas in there. Pero bienvenidos a Tectonic Takes. All right, but yeah, I mean, we have a lot to talk about today. The Quakes played, the San Jose Earthquakes have played their first game versus the Houston Dynamo, and unfortunately didn't go out in the best way we wanted. But general thoughts on the game, we'll go right into it. What'd you think?
I mean, a terrible first half.
Yeah,
and it was good to see obviously the new faces. Hopefully we'll get an update on Tommy Thompson. I mean, Tommy went out like first 4 minutes of the game. But I mean, I did like the play of Abakasis. I think he did have some strong play, but I mean, overall, it just looked like we were kind of running around the first half. The second half, we saw that we got some possession, but it just didn't end. It just didn't end well.
Yeah, and before I get into it, I want to go ahead and thank all of our Patreon supporters. We have grown a little bit over the offseason, and I appreciate that. If you guys haven't checked out our free phone wallpapers that we begin out on our Patreon, please do. That's a little token to the Quakes community. So if you haven't downloaded that Last Journey photo wallpaper or the Last Ride, please go ahead and do so. We also want to take the time to thank the Beautiful Game Network, as well as Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. Thank you for sponsoring this video. But yeah, what I thought, basically, I was running to work on the train in the middle of Japan, just watching the game. You know, maybe if they scored a goal, I go crazy on the train and everybody thinks I'm crazy, but they didn't. And I was just getting pissed. I mean, it looked like we were really rusty, and I'm just going to say it, the elephant in the room, we were not ready. We were not ready for this game. It was evident that Houston Dynamo played that tournament versus Austin FC and FC Dallas during their preseason, and they got, I believe, I want to say about 3 to 4 games during their preseason against MLS talent, and that's what we were lacking. We were lacking that speed. I mean, Eric Remedi had a poor game, but I'm not giving up on him yet. I think he just looked 1 to 2 steps late every single time when he was pressing. And if you're 1 to 2 steps late, you are stuck in no man's land. They do that 1, 2, 3 pass really quickly, and it just makes you lost in that no man's zone. But overall, there were some positives of this game. I thought some players got critiqued a little too hard, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. But Will, what did you see out of this new Quakes team? What did you like out of the new guys? What did you not like out of some players? Let's go and just in depth right now.
Yeah, well, to start off, I mean, like I said a little bit right before, is I did like the play of Abakasis. I mean, he did have to step up real quick. I mean, like I said, it's only Tommy Thompson and him. So I did see a lot of good tackles. You know, I thought he played really well. I mean, it's hard to say that after, you know, you gave up 2 goals, and the way they gave up the 2 goals they're pretty bad. Remedi, like you said, he was off, but like I think it's too early, definitely to write him off way too early. I mean, once Judson comes back, hopefully, you know, everything will kind of be back to normal on that end. And then Chofis, you could definitely see his frustration out there. There was times where he thought he should have got a pass when he didn't. And then I saw that, you know, during the game, he did that like air kick towards, I think, one of the players. I mean, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but some other, Quakes media guys made it say it was unacceptable. I'm like, dude, it's not that. It wasn't that big of a deal. If he actually like kicked him or he actually made it worse, like I would be like, okay, like Chofis, like what's going on, man? But like that was a little. It wasn't that big of a deal that, you know, other Quakes media people were making it out seem to be.
But I was one of those people saying that it was kind of a big deal, Will, because I mean, this person is known for their attitude problems, and it was evident that this is not even a rivalry game, or it's not even like that important of a team to go against. But he was obviously frustrated. I mean, Memo Rodriguez is going to live in his mind rent free, and it's Memo Rodriguez, right? So what happens when he plays against the Diego Charas? What happens when he plays against the Ozzy Alonsos in the league? We're gonna see this guy get frustrated, and I want to actually talk about this a little more in depth because this is the Matias Almeida guy that he wanted. I mean, he needs to be able to talk to him on another level, or he needs to be able to sit him down and say, hey, look, you're representing me now. You're representing me for the second time. You need to be a more mature player. And that's not maturity right there at all. I mean, we saw Marcos Lopez come to his, to be a savior during that little scruff that happened. But man, there was nothing. I mean, why did he do it? There was no point. I mean, yes, he was obviously frustrated. I've seen Messi get frustrated like that, where he just gets touched all game and he just gets frustrated. I mean, gets a little mad, maybe throws a little punch or a little, kick, but it's normal. I just don't want to see it out of him. I want him to be the Chofis Lopez that he can be, instead of the Chofis Lopez that he's always been. And I know we're going to get a lot of fans from Mexico watching this video, talking about Chofis Lopez. Pienso que puede ser un jugador muy bueno en este equipo, pero si no hace las cosas bien, no va a jugar. What I just said is I want him to be a great player on this team, and I think he will be a great player on this team, but if he's not going to do the right things, he's not going to play. Will, again, what did you think about the whole situation?
Yeah, okay. I mean, yes, we should be holding him to a higher standard, of course. I mean, right? But let's not make it sound like he's not the only emotional player out there and that does, some outlandish stuff. I mean, Wanda does stuff like that. I mean, Espinoza gets pretty hyped. It gets pretty okay. So let's not blow this out of proportion. Like I said, if he went too far and did something crazy, then yes, we should be worried. But like I said, I think that was frustration, and it was pretty small. Yes, we don't want him to see this repetitively. Of course, we don't want to see this, but like I said, I don't think we should make this as a big deal. Yes, he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and it's evident every time you see him out there. And we're going to see it the whole season. We're going to see him be frustrated at times. We're going to see him, be great once he starts scoring goals or assists. It's just going to be what it is going to be with Chofis. He's going to be emotional. It's going to be like that the whole season. And then guess what? That's if we get more production out of him, we're going to deal with that emotion. We're going to. Yeah. If we see him score goals and get assists, we're not gonna be complaining about he's getting emotional out there as long as he's producing. But of course, after a loss, you see that and you're like, oh, we don't want to see that kind of emotion from one of our best, supposed to be one of our best players. So right. I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I don't want to blow it out too out of proportion. Yeah, and it's nice to see that fire out of a player. I mean, even if we're losing, I want to see that emotion. Espinoza does a great job showing his emotion. He gets a lot of yellows, if anybody has really noticed, but it's kind of a fiery kind of passion, something that I never really see out of Carlos Fierro. And it was evident that Carlos Fierro was disappeared this game. I mean, he didn't have any sort of mix on the game, or didn't have any passes that were critical. Will, I actually wanted to show or tell you, when's the last time the Quakes played in the rain? I don't think they were ready for the rain at all. And I want to talk about Cade Cowell specifically. I don't think he's ever played in rain, right? So it sucks that he had his first game, and he was the day one starter, by the way. So if anybody was counting any points on Twitter, said that a while ago. No. Yeah. I was super excited to see him at the day one starter. We can talk a little bit about that, Will. How did you feel like he did on his debut? He never played. I don't think he ever played in the rain. So it was obvious that he was slipping a bit, or he wasn't touching the ball with his, as good as he usually does. I think the rain had a lot to do with that. What do you think? Well, rain anytime, especially if you haven't played with him much, it's going to be a factor. But I think Cade, we saw him. He's a physical son of a gun, man. He trucked 3 guys, man. Dude, with no problem, and I think that's a great sign. That's a great sign that he's going to be a fast, physical guy. I mean, when no Quakes fans going to be like, oh God, what are you doing out there? But like I said, it obviously wasn't his best game. Of course, we wanted to see him score a goal, but we got to love his physicality. I mean, Quakes media, like I posted like the Instagram. I felt like they posted his trucking of one of the Houston defenders. Like like real fast. So, like I said, everyone's excited that he's that physical guy. So, yeah, I mean, of course, maybe that it's been a while since he's played in the rain, and I think actually the last time, well, I don't know if he played that game. The last time I think the Quakes played in the rain was the second game before COVID shut down against Minnesota at home, and they got annihilated 6-2. So yeah, I think something like that. So that was the last time I could think of them playing in the rain, was against Minnesota at home, and they lost tremendously. And of course, So
and I thought, I mean, I saw some good form from him. I mean, some good signs of him being a good striker at times, but there was times where he wasn't making the right defensive play, where he wasn't tracking back the correct person, and then it would go into Chofis Lopez not tracking back in the right person, and then 1 or 2 mistakes, Remedi's already out of position trying to cover the other 2 guys, and then he looks even worse. So it's really hard to pinpoint a scapegoat for this team, because if one player's off, that means the other players have to make up for that one player being off. And then it just becomes a domino effect, and you have 1, 2, 3 mistakes, and boom, you have a goal right there. And that was evident with the goal where Florian Ljungwirth got turned from the start. I mean, I think we gave away the ball. Instead of clearing it all the way, we gave away the ball, and it was a counterattack right away. Chofis Lopez was out of position. Then Remedi was out of position. And then that beautiful pass then the striker went ahead and turned Florian Ljungwirth. And I actually think JT didn't really have to come out too far on that, or didn't have to come out at all. I think he was a little too aggressive on that. I know there's some Quakes fans that didn't like my take on that, but I felt like Alanis was in position to at least cut the angle a little more to make it more of a hard shot. And then JT goes ahead and comes out all the way. He guesses the wrong way, and then that's an easy goal. I think Flo doesn't deserve that much criticism on that goal. Yes, he got turned like pretty quickly, and yes, he got turned almost like a barn door. But I think the defense, the backup was gonna be there. I think JT deserves a little bit of the credit because he was a little too aggressive there for me. Will, what'd you think of the goals that Houston scored?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are the kind of goals that it's going to happen against this kind of Quakes defense. I mean, I think we know this now after third season of Almeida. So, I mean, this is something that's going to happen. And especially in the beginning, like I said, we didn't play any MLS talent in the preseason. Right. And we got a bunch of new faces. Regardless, they've been with Almeida before. It's still a change, you know. They haven't obviously done it in a while against MLS talent, and it's gonna take a second. I think we're gonna see that this first beginning of the season. It's gonna take a second for them to gel, and so I don't expect a lot of wins right away unless they start clicking fast, But I expect by mid-season they're going to be in form, and this is when we're going to see the Quakes take off and towards the end of the season and hopefully finish and we'll land in a playoff spot. I don't expect them right away to be great, and so that's why I'm not going too crazy that we lost this game. But I mean, like I said, I also expect more as as fans and as as podcast people. We expect the best out of the Quakes players, and we didn't see that. It's different if the goals were hard fought, and it kind of just happened. But those goals just seemed so easy,
right?
For the Dynamo, and that's going to happen a lot with this defense. So it looks rough. It looks rough to watch it because you feel like it's like, man, what just happened? It just doesn't look good at all. And it looks like we don't even know what we're doing out there. So it's just can look really frustrating. Being a fan.
And Memo Rodriguez looked like Gonzalo Higuain out there. So it's a little scary when we do have to play. I mean, the Galaxy, right? Chicharito wins MLS Player of the Week. It's going to be a little scarier on that front, right? When you have to play the LAFCs, where they don't even have to play Vela, and they win 2-0 against Austin FC. But seeing Portland lose against Vancouver made my day a little better. I mean, it's the beginning of the season, right? So a team that always does pretty bad in the beginning of the season, but always, like Will, you said, has form during the middle season and finishes strong is Seattle. Seattle always starts bad or starts slow. And they won 4-0 against Minnesota, but it happens. I mean, teams are out of funk, out of rhythm, and then they get into their groove. I think the Quakes are going to finally get into their rhythm during the midseason, and we're going to see that push, maybe see them go to third, fourth, if they can get their things together. And I think if Cade Cowell's starting at the striker, I don't even know where I'm going to put these two DPs if we're going to get them, right? I mean, maybe we put one in center back like everybody's saying on Twitter. But I don't know. I wasn't impressed with Fierro, to be honest with you. I mean, I know the Miami DP, I think his name was Pochettino. I'm not sure. But he was a left wing DP striker or a DP winger. I would have liked someone that can bring this game alive. And I didn't see anything out of the Quakes. I mean, Espinosa should be that guy. I don't know. Like in basketball, when you guys are doing bad, they're in a funk, you give the ball to Steph Curry, he makes something happen. And we don't have that player. And I thought, Christian Espinosa or maybe Chofis could be that player, but it just seemed like it was not working on all fronts. Lucho Abakasis had a pretty good start. How did you feel about him? I know the only thing I didn't like out of him is he tried to connect a long diagonal ball and it just skied over Fierro's head. So he doesn't look too strong on that long ball. But how did you feel? First thoughts about Lucho Abakasis?
I think he was out of the new guys, that day, he was the best player. Yeah. I mean, he was the best player. He was, making hard tackles, he's brought a good pace. I mean, I honestly thought, I don't know, man. Him and Tommy, who knows what's really going to happen? Like, right. I feel like maybe he should be starting anyway before Tommy. I never felt Tommy Thompson was a strong right back to begin with. I know he's our Swiss Army knife, and he's our player that can play multiple hats and do different things. But I think right back was definitely not one of his strongest, in my opinion. So I think for Lucho, that was definitely, he was definitely the best one out of three that day.
Yeah, and so going forward, if Tommy Thompson misses time, who do you want to see out there? Because Paul Marie had a golazo. I mean, Shea Salinas also comes on the field and looks like he's the only one that's young and wants to play. And he's one of our oldest players. So who do you have coming in during the game versus FC Dallas? We'll go in a little into the preview since we're talking about outside backs. To be honest, I wasn't really impressed with Marcos Lopez last game. I thought maybe he didn't have that preseason game under his belt and he looked really rusty. So maybe he needs a little more time to get, accustomed to the MLS level of play. But I still want to see him out there at the left back position. And if Lucho is up to the challenge, I think he would be the starter in my book. But I want to see Paul Marie come on every game after that golazo he had. Will, do you agree with me?
Well, yeah, as of right now, yeah. I mean, that goal was effing crazy, man. Like it was
from outside back, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this though from Paul Marie before. I mean, he can score. It's not like surprising that. Yeah. So I mean, now it's like, all right, if he can score, I'm like, I guess we really have to see how he is on the defensive side of the ball. Right. If he's, if it's going to cost us more. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'd rather probably see Abakasis and Marie be the two right backs and Tommy come in, and help the midfield more than, playing in the right back. And, of course, Salinas can play again. He's another one of those players that can be like, play the back or he can play in the midfield. So we might see him also doing that role as well. So it'll be, Almeida, man, he's going to flip it around, do all these kind of things and try to find out who's going to be the best players out there. So they're going to win this game and score goals. I mean, it's plain and simple.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking right now, Tommy Thompson has the worst luck on this team to get a starting position. I mean, this right now the central midfield is so stacked, and then right now our outside backs are just as stacked. So it's like, oh man, like this guy's having such a tough time to break that 11. He was given the opportunity, and he goes down with the injury within the 4th minute, and it's just like, oh man, like. It's going to be hard to regain those positions in either one that you want. But I'll give you guys an update if I get any updates on Tommy Thompson's health. Just keep an eye out on our Twitter or our Instagram. We'll go ahead and make sure the fans all know. But basically, the Quakes haven't won their first game since 2017. So they start slow out the gate almost every year Almeida's been here. So this is something that we should be accustomed to. I know it was against probably one of the easiest, first game opponents that we've had in a long time. So I think that's where a lot of fans were kind of a little mad because they feel like Houston's probably going to win the wooden spoon this year. And to get beat by them 2-1 and Memo Rodriguez to look like Gonzalo Higuain was a little scary for most Quakes fans. But the reason why these first 3 games are so important, Will, is because they count as our U.S. Open Cup qualification. So if we do not qualify for the U.S. Open Cup. That's another silverware trophy and another CONCACAF Champions League entrance that we don't have a chance to get. So that's why it was extremely important that the FO should have scheduled a lot more preseason games. I know Chicharito came out and said he had 6-7 games under his belt already, and he was ready to play, wins MLS Player of the Week. And that doesn't land on the players. That's unfortunately not the players' fault. And I don't think that's Matias Almeida's fault because he was away with his passing of his dad. I think that's on the front office. There has to be someone in charge that can just, when Matias is not there or when the assistants aren't there, they can be like, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. This is the game plan. We're going to schedule you some friendlies. Jackson, Wando, you guys know what the system is. Let's run out there. Let's see if we can get these wins with either USL talent or MLS talent. So, Will, going right into the preview. Actually, let's start with this. Who was your player of the match last game?
I mean, it's kind of hard to not say Paul Marie, right? I mean,
yeah, definitely.
He had the goal, and it was really good. I mean, there's no one else that can really say that I would, rather have out there. I mean, he got the goal, and he came off the bench and produced a close game instead of a 2-0 loss.
And we're not going to really dwell on the fact that we could have got points. I mean, that was a pretty big sitter. But again, anybody else there, they probably would have missed it too, because this is Wando. This is the guy who makes those type of goals. So I would want Wando there every time. I think it was unfortunate. The ball was skipping a little high, so it wasn't directly on the floor. And it was unfortunate, but we could have went with points and at least 1 point. Maybe we could have won that game. But we did get lucky. It hit the post a couple times. There was an offside call for a goal. So it could have been 4-2. So definitely Houston was the better team. We could have snuck away points, but we didn't. All right. Paul Marie was my player of the game too. And let's just go right into this preview for FC Dallas. Well, what do you think about this game? Who do you think the player to look out for is? And what do you think the prediction of the score will be?
Man, that was a lot.
Well, one by one.
Yeah. So, I mean, prediction, man, I don't know what it could be. I want to say probably another loss, probably like a 1-0 loss. Just, I feel like we're a team that is the first half. We're going to be kind of running around again. Yeah. And in the second half, we're going to try to have some chances, but why not finish? But hopefully, it's a different result. Just being more on the negative end just because of what I saw out there. Hopefully, we see Judson back out there. And, that would be huge. I mean, I wasn't sure exactly why he was out. Do you know why?
He was gone for his green. He was getting his green card. So he wasn't match fit because he flew into San Jose, I think, the day before they went to Houston. So he wasn't match fit at all.
Okay. Well, we hopefully expect him to be out there. I mean, but with that, we might still see Remedi come in, or it might be vice versa. Remedi might be in there, and then Judson might come in after.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say we probably see that. We probably see Remedi start, and then Judson come in as a sub. He probably needs a little more time to get match ready. And Judson hasn't. I mean, last year he wasn't the starter too. So this is normal Judson. I mean, look at last season, right? We still made the playoffs after the crappy season that we had mid-season and the crappy start that we had too. It was a draw and a loss. But players to look out for, you would say Judson, once Judson comes in?
Yeah, I mean, because he was one of our best defenders, right? Yeah. I mean, he solidifies this team defensively, and he does a lot off the ball and on the ball that that are not goals or assists. So I mean, he's probably the most important pieces, in the midfield other than Yule. So I mean, those two are out there together, are doing great things. And I think if we see them out there, if the full time or most of the time, we probably have definitely 100% better chance of winning.
Yeah, and we haven't played FC Dallas in, I believe, a year, or more than a year, right? Because we were only playing West Coast teams. We haven't played really these Texas teams in a long time. Mm-hmm. That should play to our benefit. I mean, I think a lot of these teams that don't play us so often, we should be able to, implement our system of play a little better because they're not so used to it. But Houston was doing a great job just spreading us out and making the passing lanes extremely easy. And that's because Remedi and I would say Jackson were covering for Chofis not being able to track back so fast and Cade making the wrong defensive switches. and then they were just 1 to 2 steps behind. That's how it was so easy. That's why it looked like you were cutting butter with a hot butter knife. It was just slicing right through our defense. But my player of the match, or my player to watch next match, is probably going to be Cade Cowell. If it's not raining, I want to see a little more from him. He looked really determined to get that goal. He really wanted, he was, like you said, trucking like 3 different players. Tim Ream, a player that no one really trucks because a lot of people are scared to truck him, just took him down. And this is a 17-year-old kid. Tim Ream he was the center back.
Or Tim Ream?
Sorry?
Tim Parker or Tim Ream?
Oh, that I'm messing it up. Is it Tim Parker? Is it Tim Parker?
The orange hair, right?
Yeah.
Tim Parker.
I apologize, guys. He was a center back for Red Bulls last year, but Houston made Tim Parker?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Tim Ream was another U.S. national that played, I believe, for New York as well, but I was getting mixed up. But that's a player that nobody really goes up to him. This is like Adam Yawn's body type, but he wants to use it to hit people. So it's very exciting. I want to see Cade Cowell on the score sheet. I predict a tie. I think it's going to be 2-2. I think the Quakes are going to look a little better. I still feel like Remedi is going to be 1 to 2 steps behind. Just until we see the rust go away, this team is going to have a hard time. And that's the honest truth. Will? What do you think you said 1-0. What do you think the player to look out for if it wasn't for Utzon?
I got to see more from Espinoza. Right? Yeah. This is our playmaker. This is our point guard on the offense.
Right.
So, we want to see the best out of Espinoza, and he needs to step it up always and be the one to make the goals happen. He led the team with assists, and I expect, 10 plus assists this year. No, without a doubt.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. He needs to be out there. He needs to be making plays out there. He needs to be asking for the ball. I maybe he deferred a little bit to Chofis this game, and he let Chofis kind of run the show. But last year he was running the show, and we were getting some sort of movement. I think Tommy Thompson starting on that right back position, I think has a lot to do with the way he links up with Espinoza, and maybe Lucho Abacasi's coming in for Tommy Thompson so quickly, kind of threw Espinoza off, and maybe doesn't know how to work with him as well, because Tommy and Espinoza have a really good chemistry, and I think that's why Tommy actually has a starting position. But I think, this is going to be a well-fought game. Will, do you have any closing thoughts on this first episode of the season for Tectonic Takes?
No, we're back, so it's great to be back. Hopefully, I'll be out there hopefully for some matches for the home games, and I'll definitely try to talk to our supporters and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll be soon to come, and hopefully with more openings and, things like that, we can be out there. But yeah, it's exciting times, we're back to it. So yeah. What about you?
And, no, it's definitely exciting. We're going to do a little pregame. I don't know who my guest is going to be yet, but we have some guests coming on during later of the season, so it's going to be a little more exciting. Some familiar faces that you've seen come on the podcast before, and hopefully some new faces. So make sure you tune in to our Instagram Live an hour before the games. I'll be doing a pregame show for the FC Dallas game, as well as don't forget to, if you like the U.S. men's national team, take a look at Tectonic Yanks. Will is the host over at that or at that podcast, and we run the show on the YouTube as well. So please feel free, if you're a U.S. national fan, to check that out as well. And that's it from us. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in for our next match. We'll go ahead and go over that. But that's all I have to say, and go Quakes.
Go Quakes.